Uganda. Morning in Uganda. Thank you so much for watching this morning. It's time for the agenda. My name is Nathalie. Now this morning, as we journey on through April to the 1st of May, where we celebrate International Labour Day. I almost did it, but it's International Day, and there celebrations of International Labour Day 2026. We are focusing this morning on the 4th annual National Labour Convention and Expo, alongside the International Labour Day celebrations that will take place at District. Be part of the conversation. 0709705992. What's up? Now it's to do with me is Mr. Apollo Zoma, who is the Assistant Commissioner, Industrial Relations and the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, alongside Miss Mala Iamunda, who is the acting head of prosecutions that is the section of prosecutions of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Be part of the conversation, share your conversation, asking your questions as we all learn and learn something from this morning's conversation. Once again, 0709-602-5292. Good morning, Mr. Onzon. A pleasure having you this morning. Right. All right. Good morning, Miss Iramunda. How are you? Good. Thank you for having me. Indeed, a pleasure having the both of you. And this conversation concerns all of us, especially if you are in work in one way or the other. There's a thing or two that you have to chew on from this conversation. I'll start off with Mr. Onzoma, who is the Assistant Commissioner for Industrial Relations and the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. As we mark this year's International Labour Day, what's the key message that the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development is pushing out for workers and employers this year?
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe just to give an overall background, the International Labour Day is a day which is celebrated worldwide. It came way back in the 19th century, when over 400,000 workers went on the sit-down strike, and the strike resulted in the death of many workers, and as a result, in the 19th century, in 1886, first May, the day when that strike happened, and many workers suffered because of demanding improvement in their lives and works and working hours. The day was declared as International Labour Day. And since then, the first May has become known as the Labour Day, the May Day, and the International Labour Day is commemorated in the whole world, and even in our constitution, which is recognized as the public holiday. And this coming May, 1st May, as you have already indicated, we shall be in the district and commemorating the Labour Day. And the theme for this year is safeguarding Uganda's progress, empowering the workforce and promoting decent work for a competitive enterprise. That is the overall theme. We are looking at, the economy has a very good potential in terms of the working population, the people who are able to work, and those who want to work but are unable to find work, and also the nature of work. So we are focusing on how do we safeguard the progress which we have so far been able to register for us to move forward. So there are a number of activities we have lined up. The first week, the week before the Labour Day is called the Labour Week, and a number of activities have been scheduled during that week. And one of the key events will be at the district. But before the Labour Week has also important part of the commemoration we have scheduled to take place from Wednesday 15th to Thursday 16th of April, that is next week, at Serena Hotels, and that is a key event which will build up momentum towards commemoration of the Labor Day celebrations. And there we are bringing together the employers, the workers, the civil society, all partners, and many people in this country, including policymakers, to discuss important matters about the youthful population and the workforce of this country, and how we can harness the potential of the workforce. That is an overall background to the events which are coming.
And the message being pushed out on there. If in case you're just joining us, we are talking all matters the International Labour Day celebration, and in particular looking at, of course, the annual National Labour Convention that Mr. Onzoma has just talked about, and Expo 2026, but there are, of course, even the celebrations that will take place at Boyikwe district. Now, Ms. Erankunda, looking at the side of law, the legal hand that governs every employee and employer, how effective has enforcement of the labor law been over the past year in Uganda?
Thank you so much. Just to reiterate what Mr. Apollo Onzoma has mentioned, enforcement in terms of the labor law, we have the framework, the legal framework in place. We also have the institutions that have been set up to ensure that the rights of workers in Uganda are being protected. We, as under the Employment Act, the government provided for measures within which one, workers' rights which are being infringed have a recourse or have a mode within which they can seek redress. That is through the offices of the labor officers. And as you realize, in each district in Uganda has a labor officer at the district level. The powers of the labor officers have been decentralized to ensure that we are able to extend these functions to the grassroots level. But also, in addition, we have the industrial court that is mandated also to adjudicate matters that have failed under the offices of the labor officer. So in terms of the legal framework, we have the legal framework. The various laws are in place, the Employment Act, we have the Labor Unions Act, we have the Workers' Compensation Act. All these have been put in place. I can list them, but in terms of the workers getting to know their rights, that's where we are trying to ensure that awareness is increased in terms of these workers getting to know that in case I find I am faced with a situation at the workplace, where do I go to, who do I report to, or what rights are entitled to me as a worker in the workplace. So we are using platforms like the Annual National Labour Convention to extend the message to all workers that as a worker in a workplace, you are entitled to a number of rights, and these are your rights. So such platforms, and even through various media outlets, we are trying to spread the word on enforcement of workers' rights, protection of workers' rights, but also for workers to get to know their rights. Yes.
Rather profound on there. Do you know your right as a worker? Are you aware while you wake up every morning to go to that place of work, do you know the boundaries in which you operate day in, day out? These, I think, are very pertinent issues that you should pay heed to. Now, Mr. Onzoma, just as Rankunda has properly talked about the annual National Labour Convention and how it is a platform for workers to engage, just get into the depths of it. How significant is this annual National Labour Convention Expo every year?
Yeah, it is very significant an important event really. This is an event which brings all the key policy makers in this country. For example, our chief guest for this event is the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, and we have key high-level speakers from government, civil society, development partners, academia, and many panelists. So we are, during this event, we are going to discuss important matters related to the youth. You are very aware that the youth form the majority of the working age population. If you look at our demographics in this country, the majority of the people in this country are youth. The youth have a lot of challenges in accessing quality jobs. Many of them are working in vulnerable employment. You also know our economy has not adjusted itself to a point where the number of youth, young people who are graduating from the universities, the rate at which the jobs are being created is not the same rate at which these people are getting access to jobs. And therefore it leaves a number of them in vulnerable employment without any opportunities for social protection. Actually, when even the recent interventions where many youth have had to leave the municipalities and towns because they don't have where to do their businesses, they don't have security to access capital which can make them to explore their entrepreneurial skills and create jobs. So there are many of them are involved in precarious work, actually a lot of underemployment. When you see what is happening now, there are many youth who are actually doing what is not part of their qualifications. So it is a very big, and yet when you look at the energy they have come with, and if given an opportunity, whether through capital, whether through skills, whether through, they can really improve on the economic growth of this country. Right. So here we are bringing stakeholders to give ideas, to discuss solutions, to come up with an action, a decision which is passed by the people in the conference, so that we can see how this can influence policy, this can influence our plans, how can we look, what do we need to do with our curriculum, so that the people who come out of these education institutions are able to adjust. The skills we need are the ones which are coming out from. So there is a lot of, it gives an opportunity for us to come up with really strategies and proper solutions to this problem we are facing. And you know, productivity, having a productive workforce is a big contributing factor to any organization. That's when you can improve on services, you can improve on goods, and even in a workplace, the profits can be realized by an employer.
Right.
So that is really, that's why it is an important event
now,
for this country. And at the stage when we are also in the process of finalizing the budgeting process, and also a new government coming in place, it gives an overall picture where people can start from and look at this in a different way.
This is the fourth annual convention. That means there's been the first, second, and third.
Yes.
And let's look at implementation. One of the problems that Uganda has is that beautiful policies are always written down, but implementation is always the negative to the whole story. What
exactly is the ministry doing to make sure that whatever is discussed and concluded on during these conventions and expos is actually implemented in line with improving the life of a worker in Uganda?
What we are doing really is, when you bring on board key policymakers from parliament, from cabinet, and from the key line ministries in charge of the fate of this country, like the delivery of services, like the public service, the head of public service. So the issues which will come out during that discussion, the 2 days discussion, directly inform policy. And then two, we are bringing on board stakeholders who have a role to play at their level when it comes to decision making on budgets. For example, the adjustments will require for us to improve, to strengthen labor inspection will come on board, and what do we need to do? What kind of resources do we need for us to ensure that each labor officer we have in the district, in the municipality, and in the city is able to reach and inspect the workplace. Then also currently we have interventions for work-based learning, apprenticeship and graduate volunteer schemes, which are aimed at improving the skills, employability skills of the graduates, the young graduates, so that they can be able to improve on it helps them to transition well from school to work. And those are now it gives us an opportunity to study. Really, these are the key issues and these are the key interventions. What kind of resources are appropriated by government towards these key interventions, which can help to address the potential of the people we are talking about. So there are a lot of things. There is an intervention through the policy making process, the budgeting process, and then also through the parliamentary committees, which will build up into making a better decision for us to improve labor administration in general. So it has a long-term effect, but the entry point here it is a holistic. We're looking at policy makers, from cabinet to parliament, we're looking at the academia, we're looking at the line ministries which are in charge of the policies which drive the economy of this country, and then the relevant actions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Be part of the conversation. We are looking at the International Day Labour Celebrations 2026, and of course therein is the conversation on the annual Labour Convention and Expo 2026, but also the very celebrations of the International Day in Uganda that will take place at Buitwe District. Be part of the conversation. 0709602592. We're having this conversation with Mr. Apollo Onzoma, the Assistant Commissioner, Industrial Relations at the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, and Ms. Martha Elhuda, who is the acting head of prosecution section at the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Good morning, UBC. I commend you for the timely discussion regarding Uganda's labour futures. I am Susan Alura, the President of the Uganda Medical and Sales Representative Association, representing a unit of youth and professionals who are often not adequately recognized in these conversations. The upcoming Labour Convention events are by invitation. I'd like to request an invitation for our association. It is important that our voices, our perspectives are heard as we shape the future labour in Uganda. Consideration, I report on your response, and let me stick with you. How does what I do? Because clearly the president of our association, which is a labour association, they feel that as the youth, the voice are not heard. The voices are not heard. So at least there's a kindness to be invited so that the voices are heard.
Thank you for showing interest in part of this. But we have already sent out invitations to the people who expecting this fiscal. But this event we have arrangement for live broadcast. It means even if we are not physically in the room, where we are going to deliver on the event, but we have arranged live broadcast through media, TV, social media platforms, to ensure that everyone who is not in the room can be reached in all the discussion. And then two, in the category of the category of people who have invited, we have also student leadership. We have student leadership in the university. We have the leadership, youth leadership. We also have workers organizations which are going to be in-house. So we think that even if physically present, some of your issues already brought out by even workers who are still potential workers who are still student leaders, who are even under the various youth platforms. So we are very sure this time we have given the confidence on this harnessing the potential. We have made sure that a bigger percentage of the participants are the youth, also the academia, and line modules with discussions on that issue. So today onwards, we are going social media and all messages which come definitely we should be able to pay attention to them and address them.
Just therein, don't you think that, or maybe I should ask, what is decided on and decided on select who to invite this submission from the maybe there's a very high chance there could be a conversation on awareness, whereas perhaps people who are as passionate as she is are missing in the room where they should be, perhaps those probably the dividends will still invest in conversations are in the room in place. What criteria take on these invitations?
Yeah, the criteria for invitations are one. The most important aspect is the theme of the convention. When we look at the theme, we look out at the key stakeholders who can affected positively or negatively by the discussions. And therefore, the category participants range from high-level policymakers to key government leaders, administrators, and then also we have academia, then we have social partners, the workers, then given that it's about the youth, then we have focused key platforms of the youth in this country, from the academic institutions, and also outside the academic institutions. We have it is the theme which guides the people we bring in the room, but also that is important because we don't want to leave any critical stakeholders may bring out point out some of the issues we have for us to be able to adjust and where we are not doing. So we have not missed on this at all. We are improving.
Alright, so we're having a conversation about international bonding and two main areas. One, the annual convention, annual labor convention and labor convention 96, alongside of course the International Day Labor celebrations that will take place in the Queen District on the 1st of May. Now coming over to you, what types of labor violations are most commonly at your desk or you're prosecuted by the ministry every now and again?
Thank you so much, Julie. The number of violations that we receive on a daily basis, of course, unfair termination is that I think most of the cases that we receive are cases of termination that's done unfairly. That is whereby an employer has not followed the right procedure prior to terminating a worker from employment. But also, just to add, we have cases of non-payment of wages where employers take long without paying the salaries of their workers. Additionally, we receive cases of non-payment of compensation for the workers' compensation, which is provided for under the Workers' Compensation Act, which provides for compensation for permanent incapacity that is incurred or by an employer as a result of an accident or scheduled disease that has been contracted while at the place of work or during the course of employment. So the range of cases that we receive is quite wide. Of course, there is mistreatment, there is forced labor, we have high cases of child labor that we receive, and so I cannot pinpoint to say that this is the most crucial, because all violations are one, we're against all violations, that is all infringements of the rights of workers, so we hold them in the same vein, they are all equal. Those violations are handled at the same level.
Right. And somebody has through with a concern, which I believe should be perhaps forwarded to you, and it reads, "Good morning, I'm requesting to know about workers' rights in our company. And maybe in case a worker is demanding a company, what measures should we do to be paid? Any way you could help the viewer here with this concern, or are they supposed to approach a particular desk at the ministry so that they are helped in detail?"
Yes, I want to thank the viewer for that question. I want first of all, when you are faced with an issue at the workplace, first we always advise utilize the internal mechanisms of dispute resolution, and various companies have different measures of resolving disputes. Then when that has failed, you seek redress from the labor officer. Under the Employment Act, it provides for reporting, that is under Section 12, of cases to the labor officer in terms of if there's non-payment, be it unfair termination, depending, as long as it's a violation of a right under the Employment Act, you have that opportunity to report to the labor officer. So the labor officer will take on the case and apply the various dispute resolution mechanisms that are available, either mediation, arbitration, or if at all he feels at that level, then the matter is escalated to the industrial court, as that's at the will of the complainant. So I appeal to the viewer, approach the nearest labor office in your district, or also approach us at the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. We are available to assist.
All right. And I'll read one other...
just to add,
Yes, please.
in addition to what my colleague has said, it is important, just for a summary, we have the principal law of this country, the constitution and the labor laws clearly provide these rights. A worker has a right to fair hearing, right to leave, both annual and maternity leave. You should not struggle there, and then the employer does not allow you to take a rest, and yet that is the only way that can make you become more productive. They have rights to join trade unions. It's a constitutional right, and it is an international standard. They have right to social protection. We face a lot of risks, and therefore an employer has to work with you to ensure that any social protection policy of this country is adhered to, any social security or employers' benefits. They also have rights to contracts. You cannot just keep me employed, but you don't tell me that this is what I'm going to earn,
right,
and then also this is what I should expect. And on the employer side, the employer should also be fair to take care, because if you don't communicate your expectations to the workers, then it is a problem for you. And then also really fair pay. So those are some of the rights which just a response to the
question.
In addition to what Martha has added.
Speaking of fair pay, someone comes to me and says, what is your stand, the both of you, what is your stand on minimum wage level? Besides, are workers really protected by these laws? Because it seems the implementation is based on the amount of money someone has. Now, let me start with Onzoma, just to speak to the viewer here who has this perspective. Is it that money speaks for a law to apply?
Well, ideally, what our Employment Act provides is, in the contract or in the employment document which an employee receives, an employer should state the wage, the remuneration, how they are going to pay this worker for the work they are going to be engaged to do. That is provided for in the policy of the employer. But the minimum wage, we have a law in this country for setting the minimum wage, for government to determine the minimum wage. The minimum wages advisory board and wages council act of parliament, although it is an old law, but it provides for the framework for determining the minimum pay. Minimum wage means which wage should an employer not pay below. It means it is an entry wage just for purposes of standard, and therefore government is still initiated the process of determining the minimum wage for this country. It is a process which has to go through establishing the board. The board will have to undertake a study, and the study involves looking at the current wages being paid across all sectors, and then also understanding the economy and the other determinants of spending, and then pronouncing, coming up with an order, which order will specify the wage an employer should pay in a specific sector or in a specific employment, the minimum below which any person should not go. But that's what minimum wage is about. But most of the wages are being determined by the costs, the production costs of employers and so on. So that's what I can say about the minimum wage.
Right.
Yes.
And Martha, is there a different perspective that you could add into this particular question?
Thank you. Just to add, as he had mentioned, the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, under Article 21, provides that everyone is equal under and before the law of the land. So it's not about what someone is earning or what they have in their pocket. The law applies to everyone in the same way, in the same vein. So everyone is entitled to the protection that the law provides. And in terms of enforcement, we reach out to everyone, right from the highest to the lowest earner in the country. So we do not discriminate in terms of their earnings.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. Now, I notice a couple of you are asking for the numbers, telephone numbers of the guests we have this morning. That means that there's a lot of cases bothering the hearts of Ugandans. I don't know if there's a number that can be accessed where the viewers can access to get the help that they need, but I noticed quite a number are asking for the numbers. I hope that can be shared as we close in on the conversation. But good morning, UBC. I'm Maxwell from Gulum, a field officer. The working conditions and the equipment used, like motorcycle UG Boss Pro, now preferred by government, are not good and safe to use. Many field officers now have broken backbones and are really sick. All right, you haven't put across a point of action or ask, but I gather that indeed this is a problem that needs to be heard by the guests we have in studio this morning. And somebody had come through already, says, if I'm in Kamuli, where should we go to get more information about labor laws? I think, Martha, you can speak into this. Where can one go to learn more and educate themselves about labor laws in Uganda?
Thank you so much. One, they can go to the ministry website. That is www.mjlsd.go.ug. They can be able to download the laws. They are available. They can download. Also, the industrial court website. They have a website where they can also be able to download the number. First of all, there are cases that they can refer to, but also the laws have also been included there under. If they want hard copy, they can also procure this, but of course it will be in bulk, which is may not be accessible in bulk as a set of the red volumes, but they're also available in the red volumes for purchase. But additionally, we call upon them to seek also further inquiry from their district level officers. They can be able to assist them in one, understanding what the law provides, whereas you may be able to read this section says ABCD, but understanding it and comprehending it, yes, you may need further guidance. So the district level officers are available to provide advice and guidance on all issues concerning their rights at work.
Very profound. Now, more of the questions.
Yeah, but also, I think just to stress that point, the viewers should really know that in every municipality, every city and every district, we have at least a labor officer. Some have more than one, others have one. So, like Martha has said, the district labor officer, those are the nearest points to you in case you have any labor issue. If you want any clarification about the ways you are working, if you need advice on how you can protect yourself, if you need, even employers, if employers need advice on how they can improve on their working environment, that is the nearest point. And that's an establishment by government. These are paid officers to support you, like Martha says, to give you information about the laws and how you can work well.
Right. Now, the other conversation, indeed populating the questions here, is the conversation of minimum wage. And I understand, of course, it was in Parliament, the last it was closed The president, of course, did not sign because of issues regarding investors there in the calculation and balancing of both. But speaking from the horse's mouth, and I'll get perspective from the both of you. What exactly, starting with you, Uganda, what exactly should a viewer settle with for now regarding the minimum wage and what the plans are moving forward, especially with the new financial year coming on board?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'll just add to what Mr. Polo had mentioned. We are working, the ministry is working to see to it that the board, the viewers need maybe to understand is that the minimum wage is not set by the Ministry of Gender or rather by Parliament. The boards, the minimum wage board is supposed to set that minimum wage. So without the board or the councils, then this cannot be done. So what we are ideally doing is to see to it that we operationalize the boards and the councils. Now, of course, we are writing proposals, we are doing the studies to ensure that even at the point when these boards are put in place, that they are operational, but also they have information to back up the setting of the minimum wage. Of course, there are questions that are going around in terms of will there be a standard minimum wage for all sectors, or will it be sector by sector? So we need to back the decision of the board using evidence, and that is why we need to conduct those studies to ensure that whatever minimum wage will be set by the board at the point when the board is put in place, then that will apply to it will be first of all functional, and it can also be applied and enforced, because it's setting a standard and then it's redundant because it's not practical. So we aim to see to it that through these studies we can be able to understand that whatever shall be set will be practical but also enforceable.
Use the word that at the point when the board will be set, what does it mean? Put in place?
Yes. Of course, it has to be inaugurated. Yes. So, this takes a process such that it is inaugurated and appointed by Parliament.
All right. Maybe I just want to one, we should not confuse what happened in Parliament about what the President did not assent to the private members bill. We had a private member of Parliament who came up with a bill on minimum wage. That bill was not for setting minimum wage. It was coming up with a law. But as Martha has explained, we have a principle law, an act of Parliament, which is substantive, provides for a framework that determines minimum wages, and these wages it involves establishing the laws. Currently, we are at the stage of submitting a report to cabinet about the subject matter, so we should not confuse the two. Currently we have a substantive law. If we need to amend that law, we have to go through the process of consulting stakeholders and then getting their views. But as far as the law is concerned now, even that framework it provides can still be used by government. The final position will come from government to determine what is the wage should this country as minimum.
And one final question. Good morning, this is program. There are employers who do not give contracts to their employees. How can these employees be helped and protected? This is Margaret from Kampala. I know you've talked about this, but just for purposes of emphasis, please speak here to this particular case to give satisfactory feedback. Margaret, who is in Kampala.
that there are employees who do not give contracts to their employers, but who do not give contracts to their employees. How can these employees be protected and protected?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The Employment Act provides that definition. In its definition, an employment contract covers both oral and written. So where someone engages, where an employer engages a worker orally, that's still a contract that has been made at that point. So and I'm getting to that. We take it that all workers have contracts, either oral or written. But also the law requires the employers need to provide them with these written particulars. They need to provide them with a written contract, and it's a requirement that you're supposed to employ with. So that violation is also done. The worker has an opportunity to seek redress from the labor office in terms of enforcement, to ensure that they are also given particular written particulars. In other words, workers shouldn't fear because I engaged employer orally. I do not have an opportunity to seek that oral contract can still be enforced.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being on the show and getting into the confusion with asking that. Now, someone's about to talk about the what was children and district children place of celebration this year.
The national celebration as Special Labor Day. We look at give opportunity all in this country to commemorate not only the Labor Day, also have other days. So this year it was the central Uganda host this event, and given that the other parts of the central, and also looking at the upcoming potential districts around investments to promote employment in this country. When we did an assessment at the center, we looked at which was already moving a lot of industrialization, employment. So we looked at many factors, and also key among which include whether district has ever had these events. So the guiding principle is really balance hosting these events, but even when we're in a big way at the same region for people within the same regions should be able to participate, like Makono, Nigeria, and Malaysia, and if you look at the employment opportunities, the working environment, and the number of people who are employed and providing jobs, they are very big and so that is why they focus on us.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. National Level Convention 2026 is coming up. Today conversion, should one expect one out of it, and then again, when is it?
Thank you so much. So the fourth annual National Labor Convention is scheduled to take place from Wednesday, the 15th of April 2026 to Thursday, the 16th of April 2026
Kampala Serena Hotel. As we had earlier mentioned, it's an invite-only event, and members of the public shall follow the proceedings of the event through the various media platforms and channels that will be broadcasting live. From this event, we expect to have discussions from key stakeholders in terms of from government, social partners, that is labor unions, and that is not true, and that is not true, the Federation of Uganda Employers, as well as private sector, civil society organizations, but most importantly, the youth. This year's theme focuses on expanding opportunities and advancing productivity to achieve decent work, specifically for the youth. Key resolutions shall be made from this event that we hope that government will be able to implement and put into their policies, but also inform various decisions. Yes. So the event will capture various thematic topics which will be discussed, or panel discussions, but also various presenters will be coming in, will coming from outside the country to also provide us more information on how best we can be able to implement the various policies that we have in place, and also benchmark on how they are doing it in their various countries.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of the show this morning and informing us very well. Thank you, viewers, for engaging us in the questions indeed and sharing the opinions as to what's on your heart. I do hope you follow the conversation. It will most definitely be live broadcast here on UBC TV. And indeed, one last remark. Which was that?
I wanted to clarify on the discussion that we had in terms of the minimum wage, and we had mentioned that the boards need to be put in place to set the minimum wage, but ideally what they do is they are advisory, and they advise government on setting what is appropriate to be set. So what the boards and the councils will do just be to provide
advisory. Thank you very much. And indeed, thank you too for being on the show. Good morning, Uganda ends here. That tomorrow is another day. I know it has ended so fast, but indeed it started also halfway. But we do appreciate you for choosing UBC TV Uganda, inspiring Uganda. For now, be blessed for God and my country. Good morning, my country.